Hi everybody, it's Anne here from Positively Papercraft, and I'm back today with another way that we can use a background die. Now this die here, a lot of you might have bought this from me actually. It's Stitched Boxes by Creative Expressions. I may still have a few on my website, but I mean a few, and then once they're gone, that's it. I don't think I can get any more at the minute. But if you bought the cracked glass die from me a while ago, you could apply the same, techniques with that die or any sort of similar background die. So what I'm doing here is I'm cutting the die sort of on an angle. I'm just using a white piece of card, which I think is 4 1/8 by 5 7/8, and yeah, basically I'm just cutting the die on an angle, and I'm going to do that on the other end of the card as well. Now just make sure that before you run it through your machine it definitely fits, and it's not going to damage your die or anything, because I've done that before, not with this die, but last year I didn't check and took a big sort of gouge out the side of my BIGSHOT inside, so just be careful about that. So I've got that all cut out, and this is so simple, but I think this ends up being my favourite one because it looks so cool. You probably know if you watch my videos, I love sort of monochromatic cards, quite simple ones, and that's definitely what this turns out as, but it just does, it looks really, really cool, and I think this would be perfect for a meal as well. So I'm just putting some glue on the back, making sure I get it stuck on all them little bits, because we don't really want any to catch any little bits and then ending up tearing. So there we go, I'm gluing that onto my card base, and I just love the way that looks. That is just so nice in my opinion. Like I say, I love monochromatic cards anyway. And then all I do is I stamp a little sentiment, which I think is happy birthday, and I think I heat emboss this onto some black card, and then I just kind of put that sort of slanted as well, which just matches really well with the way I've cut the die from it. So I'm just getting the stamp right here, and then I'm going to heat emboss that with white powder. But yeah, this is such a lovely die, and I think I've had a few people asking me if I could do something with it, because as I said, I did have tons of them and people have bought them, and I think there may be four left, 4 or 5 of them on my website now, so you may still be able to grab one if you want one. But as I said, you could sort of apply these techniques to any kind of background die that you already have. So I'm just popping the powder on, and we're going to heat set that and then get that stuck on to our card. I'm just popping some foam tape up on the back, just to lift that up a little bit. But you will see when I pop that on, doesn't that just look so effective? Okay, and that is that done. That is the first one. Now I love that. So number 2. Now this one is really simple actually, but it looks really effective. So I'm just showing you that I've cut the die quite a few times from just different coloured cardstock, okay? And I've took a couple of circle dies, and what I've done is I've cut a white circle from the smaller die, and then the larger die I've cut from black card, but I've put them both in together so it gives you the outline. And then all I do is I take the same die, so the smaller die, and I use that to cut out a part of this stitched box die. And all we are left with is kind of, well, just bits of, it's cutaway bits, but it doesn't matter because we're going to glue it straight onto the white circle that I die cut in the beginning. So we're just going to, you could use double-sided adhesive, which would be easier, but I don't know, I didn't think about that. So I'm just gluing that onto there. Now, basically all those little pieces that we've that we've cut out, I am just going to glue them in to the little boxes. Don't worry about any, you know, being too big and hanging over the end, because we're going to cut that away anyway, so it doesn't matter. So just glue them all back into the little boxes. You can see here I've moved it on a little bit just to save you watching me gluing all them in. And then I'm just flipping it over and I'm cutting away all of the little bits that are hanging over the edge. And this again looks really effective. You could maybe try it in, obviously in different colours. You could maybe try it with patterned papers as well. I'm sure that would look really nice too. And then I'm just sticking a bit in there. I didn't realise I'd left that box empty. I think all the sort of bold colours were playing up with my eyes by the time I got to this point. So I'm just showing you there that I've got the black circles. Now what I do is I pop the circle there with all the boxes in. I glue that onto my card front, and then it's going to help me sort of have a good idea of where I want to put my sentiment. But just be careful, because I messed this bit up. I didn't actually account for the black border circles, so I should have really put that sentiment a little bit further down on the card, but I don't know why I did that. So I'm just stamping "Thank you for everything." And I'm just stamping that with some black VersaFine ink. It gives as I've said before, a lovely sort of crisp dark image there. It doesn't actually, it says "Thank you for all you do." So yeah, I've stamped that, but then you will see here when I come to, I have two circles just to make them a bit thicker, and I glue one on top of another. But when I come to pop it over my circle, you will see now that it doesn't, I've just left probably not even enough room. It just slightly covers a tiny bit of the sentiment. So if you're going to do this, just make sure you account for that bit, because I really should have stamped it further down. But never mind, it still is beautiful. And I've just popped some yellow Nouveau drops on there. So I love that one too. Right, number 3. This is a little bit more time consuming, but it does turn out really nice. So I've got a piece of card again, 4 1/8 by, sorry, it'll be 4 by 5 3/4. And I'm just using some of this Stick It double-sided adhesive, and I'm just popping some onto one side of the card. And then I'm just cutting the excess off here. But yeah, double-sided adhesive is obviously a lot quicker and easier than glue, but we need it for this technique anyway. So glue wouldn't work for what I was planning on doing. So I'm peeling the backing off. Now you've got to be really careful not to try and touch the adhesive. There was a couple of bits in the corner where I'd obviously touched it and it spoiled it a little bit, but it still turned out nice. And all I'm doing is popping down all of these boxes that we had spare. So there you go, I've covered it all, and again just turn it over and cut off the bits that are hanging over the edge. So these boxes were left from the card we previously did, so I didn't waste them. I got to use most of them on this next card. And again, just keep cutting all of them off. Now, What I take is the dreaded Gildan flakes. I am still cleaning them up. And this was a few days ago, so yeah, I love them, but they are a pain to clean. And they sort of stick to things too without any glue. They will just like get on your craft mat or your desk, and you literally can't get them off without scrubbing at them. So that's what I'm doing, just using a little scrubby thing. I think it's a stamp cleaner stuff by Ranger, and all I'm doing is just scrubbing all the flakes in there, and it gives that beautiful metallic-y effect. So yeah, I've got all them, well, some of them hoovered up and cleaned up before I move on to the next bit, which is gluing it onto a black card base. And you can probably see there in the top right hand corner there was a bit where I must have rubbed the adhesive off with my fingers. A little Happy Day stamp. This is a SIZZIX stamp set, and I just popped that in the middle. And that's so effective, really colourful. So number 4, this is a really pretty one too. So again, I've cut the die out in 3 different colours of cardstock. And again, I've saved all of them little boxes. Now, this one, what I'm going to do is just use glue, and I'm going to glue these boxes all along the outside of the card. So 4 sides of the card, I'm just going to follow around as if I'm sort of creating a little frame effect. Again, it takes a little bit of time, but it does look really pretty. And there we have a little visitor again. She sits in my windowsill, like just above where my hands are on the desk, and she just watches me craft. She's so cute. So yeah, just sticking them down, and I'm leaving a little bit of a gap along. I don't want to glue them together, I want it to have a little gap, and then just go for the different colours and the different sizes and just glue them all along. And you will see that, as I said, I'm creating a sort of a frame. So there we go, I've sped that up a bit for you, and I've got them all stuck down. Now I take a rectangle die and I cut that out of the middle. So I'm not bothered if, you know, the boxes didn't all align the same, because I'm going to cut them away anyway. And this gives a really cool frame. So just cut that in my die cutting machine. But you could use a different shape. You could use an oval, or, you know, a square, but you've obviously got to make sure it would be enough to cover when you cut it out. And then turn it round, and again just snip off all them little bits that are hanging over the edge. And yeah, it does look really pretty. I love the colours as well, you know, sort of pinks and purples. Alright, so I have took a few little stamps here, and I'm just popping the frame over my card base just to give me an idea of where I want it. I'm not going to stick it on there yet. I'm just holding it in place to kind of get the idea of where I want the stamps. And I can't really read what this says, and I can't remember. I'm sure I'll have a look at the end. But yeah, I just stamp this with some black Versamark. Enjoy your day, that's what it says. And just popping, I've already popped some foam tape on the back, and I'm just peeling the backing off that. But yeah, you could have fun with this, creating different colours and stuff, and maybe use metallic card, or maybe different patterns of paper. Have sort of like patchwork effect frame maybe. I think that would look quite nice. And then I just get some little Nouveau stone drops and pop them down in the middle. And there we go, really, really pretty. Really simple but pretty. Alright, number 5, we have another one here. This is so easy. I've cut a green and a red card from the die. So you can see there's 2 of them, but if we turn it the opposite way, it creates another effect, because you're not aligning the die, so it just creates a different look. And literally all I do is pop glue on them, glue one on top of another, and then glue it onto my card base. So easy, but it does give a really cool effect. And then I'll just I've just die cut this die that I have, which is just a note, and I'm just popping that up on some little foam squares, so dead easy to do. But again, you could use different colours and stuff, and it does give a really, really nice effect. Alright, number 6, this is the last one. This is beautiful as well. So I've took a stamp set. You can use any stamps you've got, and a white piece of card, the same size. It will be 4 by 5 3/4. And all I'm going to do is heat emboss this stamp onto the card. So wiping it with my anti-static bag, and then I'm going to stamp it with some sticky ink, and I've heat set it with silver embossing powder. Again, you could use any embossing powder that you've already got. And then what I do with this one is I take, well, once I've heat set it, I then take the die, and I don't actually die cut it, but I emboss it. So I pop the die on, and then in my machine it's the base platform, 1 cutting pad, then it's your die, then your card, then the grey embossing mat, and then the white plastic pad on top. And this looks so nice when it comes out. That just looks beautiful. I would be happy to leave it like that. Actually, it looks really, really pretty. But what I then do is I take a few distress oxides, and I just sort of colour them, put them over the top of the card, but I do it in 3 colours, just so it looks a little bit more interesting, I suppose. So I use scattered straw, tumbled glass, and kitsch flamingo, and that's all I do. I'm putting the kitsch flamingo on first. Really, really simple to do. And again, you could use different coloured inks, whatever you want to do. Any stamps would work for this. And then I go in with the tumbled glass. I do that one on the bottom. On the other edge. And then the scattered straw, I just put that one in the middle. But you could do this with any background die you've got. Just, stamp your image and then emboss it in your die. But I think it just gives a completely different look to the die. It really, really does. And then I'm just trying to sort of blend them in a little bit, and just adding a bit more colour on the outside edges. And then I'll just take a little bit of kitchen paper and just sort of rub over and get some of the ink off the embossing. And then with them being distress oxides, I just give it a little spray with water just to sort of oxidize it a little bit really, and I just give it a quick little dry with my heat tool. I mean, this wasn't watercolor card, but I didn't really spray a lot of ink on it anyway, so don't worry about that. And then I'm just taking the back ends off my foam pads, and I'm just going to pop this onto a black card base, and I think that is really, really effective. And then that same SIZZIX stamp set, I've just stamped hello with VersaFine, and I heat emboss that with clear powder. And then I just take a little enamel dot here and I just pop it in the centre of that flower there. And yeah, that looks gorgeous. I really like that one. And then I discover I've got an enamel dot stuck to my finger, so I'm trying to get that off and back onto the sheet. But yeah, there we go. That is really pretty. Excuse me. So I'm going to bring in all the cards that we've made out of that one die, and I think there's some really pretty cards here, and just get a background die out and have a go. Again, going back to use what we've got. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will be back again on Sunday, no doubt with similar sort of use what we have type things. So yeah, thanks for watching, take care, and bye for now.